It happens. Hey, fellas, your commissioner here, coming at you for a little week 7 of NFL action. We got a little doppelganger here. A little, you want to say anything to the league or talk about how good you're doing in your other leagues? Or
Oh my gosh! Can we pull it up real quick? Let me give you some insight. Let me give you a little summary.
My phone's not working.
Your
Whoops.
phone works.
My phone's dead. Sorry.
Let me show you. Pull it up.
You got a phone?
It's somewhere. Let's pull it up. It's easy. I'm sorry. It won't take long. Go to. That's not the right league. I'm in 2 leagues with John.
So here's how she's doing in her league. Can you see that? Get rid of the glare. Stop. Stop.
There it is. Wait, this is the wrong league. It says this is Nick's league. It's commission,
Last woman standing, Erica Simple, 3-3. So not very good. I don't know why she wanted to brag about that.
Go to the other league.
That's the only league she's in.
No, I'm in 2 leagues with John. Okay, this is the one. I am. What is it? 5-1. I am 5-1.
Team Simple.
Go to my PF ratings.
Number 1 team.
PF.
Most points for by a mile.
I have a lot more points than everybody else. Points against, since Rip wanted to throw shade in my other league.
She's got the Craig Salvatore defense, folks.
Since Rip wanted to throw shade at me for having points against under 500 in that league, I have the most points, and I still have
the least amount of points. That's not something to brag about. I keep telling no.
It is.
That means you're lucky.
That's necessarily. If I'm lucky, even though I'm lucky, I'm still scoring the most points every week out of everybody.
Right.
In the league.
It would be something to brag about if you had the most points for and the most points against, and you're still 5-1. If you're the most points against, you might be 3-3.
No, because I should be 6-0 because that one loss I lost by 2 points. One loss that I have, it was because I lost by 2 points, and me and that other person had the highest scores, and that was the first week. So I'm good at fantasy, boys.
She's good. So there's 4 people out of 10 people who pay attention in that league. That's why she has the record that she has, the team that she has. And I played her this week. I plan on humbling her pretty well. So, anyways, let's go ahead and get into the main part of the video here. Start off, Hogs back on track, knocked off BYU 40-something to 30-something, like 45 to, did they get 30, 45 to 31, or... I can never remember the score these days, the old age. 52 to 35. That's right, we almost scored. We got down to like the 1 yard line, ran it 3 times, couldn't get in. Hey, that was great. I mean, defense looked very questionable. Looked like it was going to be whoever had the ball last was going to win. We just started to string together a few stops. Hudson Clark got his first interception since the Reagan administration. And, they basically, their defense couldn't stop us. So, and I think, everybody knew that. Their defense wasn't very good. And, hey, we got back on track. So, got a bye week, rest up. Great thing about the bye, you can't lose when you're on a bye. So, let's go ahead here, get into a recap of last week's games. We'll start off with the TheraBreath game of the week. A lot of blowouts this week, not too many close games, not too many people sweating it out on Sunday, Monday night. Blaine wins, running away with it, 121 to 103. Blaine puts up 120 points without St. Brown, without Damian Pierce, without DeAndre Hopkins. He slots those 2 guys, those 3 players into his lineup, and I mean, this clearly Blaine is the second best team in the league right now, in my opinion. I don't think it's particularly close. I think outside, love you too, outside of Rip and this ASMR right there. Shouldn't do it on the mic. Blaine is really good at fantasy football. Do you guys like this? This is a sneak peek of the inner monologue of the commish. That this premium package. This is what it would sound like if you were to like and subscribe. So if this is something you would be interested in, please like and subscribe and pay the premium package plus. Thank you. All right. So yeah, I mean, Blaine is an absolute monster. Josh Allen, Saquon, Brandon Ayuk had a great game. And really for Ford, outside of Diggs, not a lot of production. Of course, he didn't have Adams. This week. But really, I mean, Kenneth Walker looked amazing. One of the steals of the draft now in hindsight. But if he, let's just say that Rashad Penny also doesn't get hurt. Oh boy, this would not be a good team here. I think Ford's fine. Like, he's got some good players, and he'll be able to compete. I think he still will make the playoffs, sitting at 4-2 at the moment. But I think he's going to have some rough weeks here down the stretch whenever he starts playing some competition that can put up with him. And, 100 points isn't going to get it done. And, most of half the league was at 100 points or lower. Over half the league was at 100 points or lower this week. Extremely low scoring. Maybe one of the lowest scoring weeks of the season. And I think it was a really good indicator of the teams that are good were able to produce. And there's also some teams that got lucky to be able to produce what they produced, I think. So moving on here, we'll go with rivalry matchup, Razorback Revival versus Curse of the 101. Nick wins 129-99, second consecutive week below 100 points. I am now 0-3 on the season, scoring below 100 points. There are other owners in this league who have 2 wins. Have all of their wins almost under or right about at 100 points. Whatever. Who am I to judge? The water always finds its level. It happened last year with this guy, and that'll happen again, but we'll get to him in a minute. I called this to Nick. I said, hey, I know you're going to score 130 points this week. I was about 0.55 points shy of that. Looked like I was hanging in there early through the first half of the morning games, but Pittman just absolutely feasted on Jacksonville. Waddle dominated. AJ dominated. Every single player in his lineup outside of Dallas Goedert basically had 100 yards or a touchdown. This is Nick's ceiling. It's his potential. Those 3 wide receivers are going to be the reason those 4 wide receivers, are going to be the reason that he can win any games. It's the reason he's won the 2 games that he's won. And, is he going to make the playoffs? Probably not. Is he going to fuck up other people who are in the middle fighting for a playoff spot? Probably so. This is now 2 consecutive weeks for myself. Again, sub 100 and sub nil quarterbacks throwing a touchdown for my team, or running for a touchdown for that matter. 0 touchdowns the last 2 weeks from my quarterback position. The last 2 weeks, quarterbacks have produced 23, about 24 points for me.
And then these guys bringing their bad vibes? Bro, I'm straight up not having a good time.
I'll just tell you that right now. McCaffrey continues to dominate, 23 points. Of course, my newly acquired running back, Kareem Hunt, who has gotten no less than 9 points every single game this season, in a game that they were dominated basically from the jump by the Patriots, and you would think he would get a lot of passing down work. Not so fast, my friend. He had 4 rushes for 12 yards, 1 target, no catches, 5 opportunities.
Great. We can just put that into your retirement account and make it go to work for you, and it's gone.
And he's gone, which we'll get into here in a minute. Sutton just shit the bed on Monday night, nothing. 3.4 points. Got the first catch of the game and then proceeded to do nothing the rest of the game, so that was fun. Gabe Davis, great game, low targets again. I mean, touchdown regression's coming for his ass. If he doesn't catch a touchdown, he's worthless. Christian Kirk, ugly game, salvaged by a touchdown, and Chase Claypool was the leading scorer for my team. So that just tells you how the old commission's doing when Chase Claypool is the leading scorer for my team on the week. Freiermuth was hurt. Michael Thomas is still hurt. Brandon Cooks is. But hey, you know what? For the 1.2 points, Kareem got me. If I didn't make that trade, James Conner would have got me 0 points. The Josh Kelly guy that I picked up, he would have got 0 points for me this week. So, whatever. It looks like a terrible trade, but hey, you can't dwell on the past, and you got to realize that, hey, really, I moved James Conner, Alec Pierce, and who else? Gabe Davis for Justin Herbert, Adam Thielen, and J.K. Dobbins. So I don't really know how I feel about that, laying both of those out. And the Brandon Cooks trade, yeah, he's not been great, but what has Khalil Herbert done since that 1 week rental? So whatever. Team's 3-3. Probably about where I'll be, 500, about the rest of the year, fighting and clawing for a playoff spot, as is tradition. Next here, we got the Dirty Birds versus Cooter Gang. Plunk, much needed win for him. Had to have it to get off that 2-4. No, he was sitting at 2-3 to not go 2-4. Gets to 3-3, back to 500 on a. He's I think he's alternated wins and losses every single week. 125 to 103. JD just and this was getting. He had 2 players combined for 0.8 points, and he gets 125. And you take 3 players. He had 3 players combined to score 4.5 points, and he still ends up with 125. I mean, pedestrian game from Lamar, but Alvin looked good. I mean, 18 points from him without a touchdown. Granted, they had no other weapon on offense, so it was basically the Alvin Kamara and Taysom Hill show, which Taysom didn't do shit. But really, Jamar Chase got unlocked. Andrews continues to be the number 1 tight end in the league, and I promise you, if I were to have drafted him this season, he would not have done a damn thing. He picks up Jackson from the running back for the Colts on Sunday morning. 1 week rental, needed it, whatever. If he didn't pick him up, he probably would have put in A-Rob, and he still would have won, so it is what it is. Wouldn't have helped me win anyway, because I would have put him in for Claypool, so it would have been a 5-point difference. But anyway, yeah, JD 1-5. I mean, season's over. He's just trying to position himself not to win the horse ass. But I mean, it sucks to be eliminated from the playoffs, not even halfway through the regular season. But that's essentially what has happened for old JD. Great game from Burrow. I mean, almost 40 points from Burrow. Kittle had his first good game of the whole year, 20 points from him. But outside of that, just not a lot of production. Mostert's a little dinged up. Tyler Lockett was limited, I think, with that hammy during the week. I think that affected him during the game. Curtis Samuel didn't do shit. Hollywood is now hurt, probably out until the fantasy playoffs. And you look at his bench, and I mean, he's got JT coming back here, but he'll probably he'll be going 3 running backs probably for the rest of the season. So 1-5, it is what it is. He's not really willing to trade any pieces. Just gonna kind of ride it out with it as is. Can't say I blame him. Next here, we got Discount Double Check versus Cataclysmic Catches. What looked like, on paper, should have been the game of the week. It was not. I called that as well, that it was going to be a blowout, 151 to 87. I mean, Rip's a wagon. Rip's not going to be in any game of the weeks for the foreseeable future, unless he has injuries, because his team just can't be touched. I mean, his team is clearly, just like last season, the best team in the league. Cruise to the 1 seed, cruise to the league scoring title, and just has to hope he has a little bit better luck in the semis and the finals, unlike last season. Because I mean, nothing baseline game from Jalen Hurts, 20 points, and he still puts up 151. Because I mean, every single player on his team was in double digits. His lowest scoring player was 14.7 points from Devin Singletary. And he puts up 151 without Derrick Henry, without Darren Waller in his lineup, without Jared Goff in his lineup. And it's just mind-boggling. I mean, you put Cooper Kupp in the flex, and 16 points. He picks up Tunyon as a bye-week replacement and gets 19 points, his best game of the year. I mean, you know, when things are clicking and going right, they're going right. I mean, Tyreek has been just a freak this season. How he isn't the number one wide receiver on the season blows my mind, because, I mean, he's only had one really bad game all year. And then, you know, you look at Wilson, kind of came back down to reality a little bit. You think, 87 points, he must have had a bunch of players on bye. Well, not really. Robert Woods was the only player on bye for him. You know, Schultz was hurt as well. But, you know, nothing from Evans, nothing from Gallup, nothing from Mike Williams. Chubb got shut down. Really, Mahomes and Sanders and Zach Ertz were the only bright spots for this team. But, hey, Wilson's 4-2. He'll be fine. He's like Ford. I mean, he's got some really solid players, and he's going to probably be fighting for a playoff spot. I think he probably has a playoff spot locked up. But, you know, he'll definitely have some adversity throughout the season. Pardon me. About tired of that, I tell you. About tired of allergy season. I don't like the cold. It's been freezing the last few days, but at least it'll kill everything. So, all right. Next here we got the lowest scoring game of the week here. Shade Dynasty falls to Kickers Lives Matter, 98.9 to 87.3. Duncan, don't let Duncan get hot now. He's won 2 in a row. You know, sub 100 again for Duncan. Not really great. Doesn't deserve a win, to be quite honest. But a lot of people didn't deserve to win this week. So, one of these sub 100 teams had to, based on how many people were below 100. And just not a lot to break down. I mean, you know, you hate that for D-Shade. I mean, if he puts in Trevor Lawrence over Carson Wentz, he wins this game. He wins this game easily. So it's just not having the right touch as a manager. You know, why would you ever start Carson Wentz if you don't have to? It was a fluke. The beginning few weeks was a fluke. Okay, it's done. It's fairy dust. It's gone. So he should be cut if he isn't already, especially now that he hurt his finger. Don't even waste an IR spot on him. Just cut him. Just cut him. Nobody's going to pick him up. Yeah, I mean, only three players in double digits. Fournette, you know, is kind of the lone bright spot of his team. Aaron Jones has been kind of boo-boo the last few weeks. Amari Cooper, another touchdown for him. Pretty solid game. And, you know, Kelsey. So Kelsey and Fournette, really the lone bright spots, consistent spots on this team. But, hey, he's got Dak coming back. So there's that. But D-Shade also falls to 3-3. Needed that from Duncan. D-Shade does not deserve to be 4-2. He shouldn't even be 3-3. But, you know, hey, Duncan's 2-4. Holding on to the slimmest of hopes of potentially making the playoffs. I mean, what is the record there for teams that go 2-4? 2 times out of 32, 6%. Not great. Anyways, let's go ahead here and discuss the blockbuster trade. He did drop Carson Wentz. Good lad. Blockbuster trade that went down this morning, the second pre-waiver run trade for myself over the last 2 weeks. This one's a little bit more eventful. I sent Gabe Davis and Kareem Hunt to Savoy for J.K. Dobbins, Adam Thielen, and Justin Herbert. Dobbins is a little banged up. He said his knee tightened up. I mean, who knows? I think that's going to maybe turn into a pretty ugly timeshare once Gus Edwards comes back and Justice Hill comes back and the way Kenyon Drake ran. Dobbins hasn't looked super explosive outside of the one game against the first half, really, against the Bills, where he just got 2 touchdowns. I don't know. Really, in hindsight, maybe should have tried to. Maybe probably would have been better off for me to have Jamal Williams rather than J.K. Dobbins, just in case something inevitably happens to Swift again, which it probably will because he's made of glass. But Thielen, solid wide receiver 3, not sexy, but he's strung together some nice games throughout the season. It's not going to kill you. Has some good matchups here and there for spot starts during the byes. Herbert's been underwhelming for his standards, what you would expect from Herbert so far this season. I think a little bit it's probably the ribs. But the Chargers have probably one of the best schedule for quarterbacks down the stretch throughout the rest of the season. Got the bye coming up next week, so hopefully after he gets through that, he can kind of heal up, rest up a little bit, and get back to his flow God ways. One can only hope. So, people were confused by this trade. Oh, I'm sorry. I totally just skipped this game talking about Savoy. Slipped my mind. Not so fast, my friend. You thought you almost got off the hook, I bet. So, Craig, the fraudster, Craig, that's what he needs to. That's what he needs to change his team name to. His team fraud, frauding America, fraudulent fraudsters. The Ponzi scheme, maybe. Maybe that could be his team name. I don't know, something like that, because this guy has the, let's just check here, the lowest amount of points scored in the league and has the lowest amount of points against. And his points against is, I'm sorry, he doesn't. Ford has actually passed him. That stiff D of Ford, the fat bastard, smothering their opponents. Ford has only given up 566.6 points this season, and Craig has given up 589.7. Lucky dogs, you lucky dog. Now Ford has scored 700 points and is upper half of the league in points for. Craig is, like I mentioned, scored less than 600 points. He's averaging less than 100 points per game. He has broken 100 points per game just twice on the season out of 6 games, if I'm not mistaken. And he is what? JD's team is pretty bad too. So he's only the lowest scoring team by about 50 points. But hey, this is one of the weeks. Good job. Hey, you broke 100 points. So that was great. That was great for him. Happy for you. Not really much production to speak of outside of Ramondre Stevenson. But despite that, every single one of his players outside of Jeff Wilson was over 10 points, was in double digits. You just didn't really have anybody over 10, more than 10 or 15 outside of Ramondre. But hey, at least you didn't have Hunter Renfrow, so we'll cut you some slack on that. And then our boo-boo garbage, throw up all over himself, piss all over themselves, get lost in his feelings. Team of the week. If you lose to me, you really suck. 65 points from Savoy, the low watermark, I think, on the season. I'm not sure. I can't remember. He didn't have Keenan again this week. Didn't have Hawkinson. Didn't have Olave. That was a huge hit for him. So he's having to roll out guys like Mike Boone, Taysom Hill, DeAndre Carter, Devin Duvernay. I mean, thank God for Eckler, because, Eckler got him 25 points and basically saved his ass on Monday night from being I think Savoy was sitting on, 25 points, 30 points or something going into Monday night? One of the lowest point total going into Monday night so far this season. And, his guys didn't really do much for him. I mean, let's see. So let's do some quick math. So that's like 55, 50, 30. So he's like at 25 points. So, really, there was an avenue. It could have been done. If defense didn't rule this season. That's like the name of the game this season is defense, defense, defense. About ready for the damn offensive coordinators to figure some shit out and get their offenses rolling, because nobody wants to see this shit. But yeah, pathetic. 1.5 from Dobbins. That guy sucks. Who would want him? Justin Herbert, 10.8 points. Bum. Who would want him? Thielen, pretty good, 15.6. But Duvernay, 2.4. Carter, 4.7. Hill, 4.7. Boone, 1.4. And just nothing on his bench. James Robinson was the only guy who did anything on his bench, and he only got 6.5 points. So, Savoy's 1-5. He's done. He's lost 2 in a row. He knows that. He's just trying not to win horse ass. Does that trade help him not win horse ass? What he made today? Maybe, maybe not. I've been interested in selling, and maybe this is a mistake. Going back to the trade, from my side of maybe it's a mistake to sell Gabe Davis. I don't know. I'm trying to sell high. He had 2 great matchups this week. I think that it gets harder. Of course, he's on bye this week, so he doesn't help me anyway. But the targets scare me. The targets, he's extremely touchdown dependent. And now, hey, maybe those dud games he was having early on were just because he was hurt, getting back from the ankle injury. He's healthy now. Maybe that's it. Maybe I just traded away the best receiver on my team. Very possible. I don't know. But the touchdowns aren't going to always come for him. And I wish there was more catches and more receptions, but that's what Diggs does. That's why Diggs is there. That's why Diggs gets 30-point games every other week, even if he doesn't catch as many touchdowns, and Gabe Davis doesn't. So, and Kareem, whatever. He's a 10-point a game guy. If Swift stays healthy and CMC stays healthy, I'd never play him anyway. So, all right. So, some pickups, nothing really of note. Latavius Murray for $15. Plunk continues to harvest third-string running backs. I got Julio for $5. K. Doughton, $7. Taquan Thornton, $7 for Plunk. I don't know where he keeps finding all this roster space without cutting players, but whatever. He cheats. Marcus Mariota is now Savoy's new quarterback until Deshaun comes back, so that'll be great. Nick picked up Kenyon Drake for $14. So, all right, let's go ahead here, get into a preview of this week's matchups. What's going to be game of the week? Yuck. What the hell? Let's do this one. All right, so we'll start off with Curse of the 101 versus Doesn't Contribute. The Frauds, 122 to 113. Last time I played Craig, this is, I think, the first week here that you're going to be playing an opponent that you've already played previously this season. I just played Craig about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Playing him again now. And that staunch defense. 122 to 113. I got to say, I'm not feeling good about that 122 number, to be honest. I think this would be a game where if I could bet on it, I probably would take the under, because we all know Craig's not going to get to 113. He's going to barely crack 100 points. And I don't know that I score more than 100 either. I think this is going to be an ugly game, just like our first matchup. And it'll probably come down to Monday night again, where Craig has a running back and a wide receiver going on Monday night, and I'm up 30 points, and they score 35 points and beat me. Because Chicago sucks, Ramondre is going to get at least 1 touchdown, and Jacoby will probably feast as well. So, I think Craig beats me here. It puts me on a 3-game losing streak, so I just don't. I don't want it to be true, but it probably is. So, next here we got the Dirty Birds of War projected to win 124 over the Cataclysmic Catches 117. You know what? Wilson, bless his heart, he's just fighting and clawing here to stay alive. 4-2. Well, he's not fighting to stay alive. He's in a very good position. I don't know why I said that. You know, I think he has some pretty solid matchups this week. Nah, I take that back. His matchups are pretty shit. Yeah, we're going to go with Plunk in that one. I'm going to go with Plunk. Next here, we got Kickers Lives Matter versus the Swamp Donkeys. Very disrespectful. Blaine doesn't even have a quarterback in there at the moment, and he's only projected to lose 109 to 101. So, you know, he'll be scouring the waiver wire this week for a quarterback. He'll probably play Matty Ice. Not the worst player to play. I mean, the Titans suck in the secondary, so had a good game against them earlier in the season. So that'll boost his point total about 20 points probably. We're going to go with Blaine in that one. Put Duncan back in his place, please, Blaine. Get him to 2-5, and let's put an end to this. Ooh, maybe I could get hot. Maybe I can make the playoffs. Next here, we got Discount Double Check, Fat Bastards, Ford, 2-game losing streak. Don't need to talk about it. Rip, going away. Rip doesn't even have Cooper Kupp. He doesn't have Jalen Hurts. He doesn't have Devontae Smith. He doesn't have Devin Singletary. If there was a week to beat Rip, it would be this week. But Ford is missing Stephon Diggs. Ford cannot win without Stephon Diggs. Very tough matchups for Rip's team, or for Ford's team as well. Rip going away big time. Line can't be big enough. 10.6. You might see a little sprinkle on that, a little max bet. My last max bet got canceled because Savoy played an ineligible. Well, he didn't play an ineligible player. One of his players in the lineup, whenever I made the bet, became inactive. If that happens, if a player is inactive, the bet is immediately scratched, and you can make a new bet on the new lineup. If it's still feasible, of course it wasn't feasible because Watson wasn't ruled out. In time for him to get another player in there, and games had already started. So, anyways, yeah, I think I might sprinkle a little bit on Rip. It's just like, it's like the Patriots back in the day. Like, no line was too big, because they were just murdering teams, putting them to sleep. And I think that's what you see here. So, penultimate matchup here, you got Cooter Gang versus Shades to Dynasty, 123 to 119. Potential bounce back spot for Shade. He needs it. If he could get to 4-3, he'd be much better off than falling to 3-4. And like I said, JD's just kind of here to play spoiler at this point. He's should have JT back this week. Mostert should be going. He's got Juju in there. Nobody really on bye for old JD here. Nobody on bye for D Shade either. So you're getting both of these teams at their full strength. And I like JD in this one. I think JD does enough to be able to get the win and knock Shade back down to reality. So, all right, that brings us to our game of the week here. The whatever's right here, right? Our Mentos Pure Fresh Sugar-Free Gum of the Week. Come on, I don't know what's going on. Come on. There you go. Maybe if I do it like that. There we go. Value pack, resealable, keep it fresh here. Artificially flavored sugar-free gum. 120 pieces in this little pack here. Each piece is less than 5 calories, so, don't have to worry about packing on the LBs eating this. Mentos it's a mint, but I guess they make gum now. So because you can see right here, try our new Chewy Mints. But, hey, everybody likes gum. It's got that xylitol in there, sorbitol, chewing gum base, some sugar alcohol. So, hey, don't be chewing this and driving, all right? Be responsible. But anyway, yeah, zip it. Keep your gum fresh. This is not zipped up. Erica's not very good about resealing things. This thing gets a little difficult for her sometimes. So anyway, Mentos Pure Fresh with green tea extract.
I'm freaking pumped. I've been drinking green tea all goddamn day.
So, anyways, Mentos Pure Fresh sugar-free gum, the official gum, at least this week of the Bring That Wood Fantasy Football. This is the second gum I've done this season. I just realized this. So the official mint gum of the Bring That Wood Fantasy Football League. Hey, Loki. Come here. Got the cat. He wants to make an appearance. Hey, that's you. You see yourself? It's getting big. I think I already showed you. Look at that beast right there, boy. That's something, you know. Look at here. Yeah, he's just chilling. He doesn't care. He's like a dog. There you go. Anyway, that is, if you lose to me, you really suck. And the Razorback Revival. Team that's 1-5 versus a team that's 2-4, but hey, it's projected to be a barn burner, 103-100. Arguably Savoy's, one of his better receivers now. Gabe Davis is on bye. For Nick, he's got A.J. Brown and Dalvin Cook on bye, and Dallas Goedert on bye, and Darrell Henderson on bye. But let's see here. Battle of the quarterback. You got Derek Carr versus Marcus Mariota. We're going to send in the car on that one. Battle in Houston. Houston's pretty bad. They're scrappy. So it wouldn't surprise me if it's a little bit lower scoring. But I think we'll go with Carr in that one coming off the bye. Actually, they're both coming off the bye, so that's interesting. I don't know how often that happens where two teams that are coming off bye play each other the following week. Battle of the running back. You got A.J. Dillon and Kenyon Drake. Versus Austin Eckler and Kareem Hunt. We're going to go with the running backs there in that one. No question about it. Battle of the wide receivers. You got Keenan Allen, Chris Olave, and Devin Duvernay versus Chris Godwin, Michael Pittman, and Rondale Moore. This one's tough. Keenan should be back finally. I think Olave should feast. However, he will probably be up against Byron Murphy, who's one of the better corners in the league. And with no other weapons, I could see them trying to just take Olave away. But Nick's wide receiver room is too good. Really, it's not Rondale in that third wide receiver slot. It's Jalen Waddle. So we'll go with those three guys in that one. Battle of tight end, you got Hawkinson versus Otton. Otton's been okay. He doesn't have a touchdown yet this year, but, the Panthers are bad, so he probably will this week. But we'll go with Hawkinson in that one. And then Battle of the Flex, just because I guess he doesn't really have any other option. If he had some balls, he'd put in Taysom Hill, but he doesn't. Put in Jamal Williams, which, hey, if Swift is out this week again, which, oh my God, if Swift is out again this week, I'm gonna we're just not gonna talk about it. We're just gonna hope it doesn't happen. All right. Versus Rondale Moore, I'm gonna call it whatever. Whoever Nick's flex is, Nick's gonna win the flex. So ultimately, I think the quarterback, wide receiver, flex does enough to be able to make up for the faults, the low points at running back and tight end for Nick this week. And I do think that Nick keeps his very, very slim playoff hopes alive, unfortunately. But, hey, I sure wouldn't mind it if Savoy got his second one of the year and all but really eliminated Nick from playoff contention. So I'm rooting for you, Savoy. You got my backing. I appreciate the help. I appreciate the trade. All right, I hope that it benefits both of us if I could ever get my fucking players to get healthy and play. Michael Thomas, looking at you. DeAndre Swift, looking at you. Then I'd probably be 5-1, but I'm not. I've won one game since DeAndre Swift got hurt. So, anyways, that's all I got this week, fellas. Obviously, Hogs are on bye. Got old Cole Kamish and Newest the oldest member of the league and the newest member of the league, will be here in Little Rock this weekend. Deshade not coming down to see Duncan or myself, coming down for a wedding. But he's going to see us as well. And then Nick is coming down Friday afternoon. Should have a good time, get into some brews and some football maybe, and some hiking and some drinking and maybe a little bit of does and so anyways, that's all I got this week, fellas. Y'all have good luck this week. Stay safe out there, and as always, whoop big.